and gentlemen, welcome to the Market Theatre. Please give it up for David Ephgrave. Come on! Good evening! What I didn't realise is how low that 90's there. I smacked it. Good start. At least we can earn 250 quid from you being framed. That's a good thing. Now, it's good to have you here tonight at the Market Theatre, the only theatre of its kind in the world, as they describe on their own literature, probably with good reason. For tonight's performance of my 4th ever solo show, did you see the other 3? Yeah. You lie through your teeth. You should have done your research. None of it's going to make sense. No, it will. Welcome to show number 4, which I've called David Ephgrave, My Part in His Downfall. The time has finally come to take the credit. Oh yes. In this show, the 1991 Warner Wagtails Holiday Camp Talent Show winner. Oh yeah. In the presence of greatness. The front man of the best band in Hertfordshire in 1998, a title we held for 1 year. And Hertfordshire Theatre School's most promising student 2002 will pinpoint the moment it went wrong. I tell you, will it be tonight? Probably. How can one reviewer's devastatingly witty be another's festival of mediocrity? I'm going to show you how. That's what's going to happen. This show is essentially a 55-minute character self-assassination. It's like a cautionary tale, really, where I'm going to tell you a bit about my life, essentially. And also, in this show, as well as sort of telling you about things that I've done to be my own role in my downfall, I'm going to tell you other people who've affected it as well, be it the man on the street, the reviewer in the audience, or the mother in my parents. Put that line in an interview to promote this show. Good 45 minutes on the phone to my mum trying to explain that. She wasn't going with it. Said, Mum, it's the rule of 3. She wouldn't have it. So, and then I'll release you. You go out there and just, the rest of the time's your own, really. The rest of your life, I can't help you with that. Does that sound like a plan? Yeah! Good, because it's what I prepared. Now, before I start, I've got a bit of a confession to make. For someone who professes to be in comedy, I've only ever written 3 jokes in my entire life. I'm fully aware that's not an impressive statistic, and I really need to up my game. My current gag productivity rate averages out 1 every 13.2 years of my life. I tell you, this rate, I'll be long dead before I've worked up enough to fill a joke book. Let's be honest. I'll be lucky to work up a pamphlet, really. Although, actually, I should probably point out the fact I've only ever written 3 jokes. Does mean this next hour, this stand-up show is going to be frighteningly sparse. I thought 1 joke every 20 minutes, then you can just do your tax return or something. I don't know. Well, having said that, despite having only written 3 jokes, one of them made it into the Daily Telegraph's 20 funniest one-liners from last year's Fringe. Oh yeah. As I said, most promising student, living up to it. Was also quoted in BBC Radio 4's Front Row and made it into Comedy Central's 35 funniest jokes of last year. So on that basis, 1 out of 3, pretty good strike rate, really. I see myself as a 33.3% recurring success. My God, do I recur. Like some sort of skin condition, just keep coming back. This I mentioned in the Daily Telegraph that happened last year. This happened the fortnight before I went up to Edinburgh and was easily the most successful moment in the whole run. So I could basically just written that joke, sent it to the Telegraph, stayed at home and saved the money. Of course, I can't tell you I've written 3 jokes and not share them with you. That would be churlish. So here we go. Joke number 1. What do you call a video of 2 toads having sex? Frogs porn. There it is. As I say, 1 out of 3 got in, so you know. So, to be fair, it doesn't quite work because toads aren't frogs, but the scansion's there. Joke number 2. What is he discussing it down here? Believe me, there is nothing to discuss. Joke number 2. Pray silence for joke number 2. There's only 3, so we're going to have to do this. Joke number 2. What do you call it? I've forgotten it. What do you call it if you contract HIV through the ears? Hearing aids, that's what that is. I'm not condoning AIDS or some sort of... That was a very strange... Incidentally, this is kind of concerning. What happened to these 3 people? They just...
We were asking.
Oh, really? They've gone missing?
Well, you said they should be filled.
Right, yeah. Well, we'll CGI them in, it'll be fine. Or I can just lay there and... we'll cut this bit from the DVD. And joke number 3. Henry VIII's second wife would never rush into a room. She'd just stumble in. Pff, there it is. Pyro. I don't care that joke is about a woman who died 483 years ago. In my mind, that's still cutting edge. Poor choice of wording there. As an addendum, since writing this show, the frog spawn gag got into iNewspaper's 50 Funniest Jokes from this year's festival, and a joke that I cut from the shows I didn't think was very good got into the Edinburgh News 40 Funniest One-Liners and the 40 Best Jokes from the Edinburgh Fringe on the Scotsman. So basically, that's fucked up the beginning, really. I have to remain unsuccessful for this show to work. Very frustrating. But anyway, so we're in now. Now, I couldn't possibly write a show about my perceived role in my downfall. So good night. No, I couldn't possibly do that with sharing you one of my biggest personal setbacks, and that is to do with my mental health. Now, it's fair to say these days we live in a time where it's kind of in vogue to be in the public eye and suffer from mental health problems. I say in the public eye in the sense that you are the public, you are looking at me with your eyes. Whilst I stand in this former industrial unit on some carpet squares here. They say the only theatre of its kind in the world. I've never performed in a theatre, one where there's a carpet on stage, two where it's carpet squares. They've got a restoration romp on it. This is this authentic floor. The only place you see this floor is in a conservatory in the early 90s. I'm sorry. Anyway, so I couldn't do a right show like this without sort of making a reference to my mental health. And as I say, it's kind of in vogue to be in the public eye and suffer from mental health problems. But I like to think that I was depressed years before it was fashionable. Trendsetter, I think. Everyone else was worrying about BSE and bird flu, and I was there silently toiling away at my depression, stoking the boiler of negativity, essentially shining a torch for other depressed people. A shit torch with no batteries. But despite the fact that 1 in 4 people, they say, suffer from mental health problems at some point in their life, particularly awkward in Edinburgh when I did it to a show of 3 people. It was like, but despite the fact that that's the case, we've yet to receive somebody just came in there and said they're just laughing at his depression. What's going on? Strangely. But we've yet to receive a parity between mental and physical health, and I think that's crazy. Poor choice of wording again, really. But you know, they say like mental and physical health, but as far as I'm aware, the brain is part of the body. You know, what are they talking about? It's in the head. That's unless, of course, you're the evil mastermind Krang from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, where it's in the stomach region. There it is. Very angry with his thoughts. Seems particularly furious with Shredder here. I've done the research. It's a very angry, but then there's a sort of benign face up here, indifferent. That is pretty much the definition of a mental health problem right there. Brain in the stomach, seriously, got hinges on the legs. I don't know what's going on here. There's like a sort of thing, you know, you drive over it and then you reverse back and it damages the tyres. I genuinely haven't written any more shows, so we're just going to have to go with this. But no, as far as I say, mental health problems. But this show is the first time I put into any sort of public arena that I suffer from mental health problems. Since my late childhood, I've suffered from severe chronic depression, so you're in for a fun hour. I also suffer from generalised anxiety disorder, which means I'm generally anxious about fucking everything, really. And I also have what's been described as personality difficulties, mood dysregulation, and moments of impulsibility. And that was just by my mum. So, very well read, my mum. Genuinely true. The other day I went round to my mum's house, she was reading Brave New World. I thought, oh, Aldous Huxley, high end. No, just a Spurs book, just a Spurs. That's about the limit there, really. Yeah, for God's sake. Books about football. What's the point? Anyway. But yeah, also, while I'm listing my ailments, because we're here, might as well do this, I also suffer from a combination of vestibular migraine and positional vertigo, which means I basically spend the vast percentage of my time feeling like I've just stepped off a fairground ride. So, in summary, it's a fucking miracle I'm even here. The fact I've been standing for 12 minutes, that's my best time. That's my best time. But I'm receiving treatment for these things, a combination of medication and therapy. I'm currently on so many tablets for the depression, anxiety and vertigo that my current occupation is listed on my passport as maraca. I'd like to go up to high-end Barack Obama, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, but essentially I couldn't sneak up on you without sounding like I was carrying 4 bags of gravel. I don't know why I'm sneaking up on you, to give you the gravel. I don't know, I'm not sure. Let's say I'm receiving treatment for this. Now, the medication is difficult with the medication because sometimes it's quite hard to see the wood for the trees. I could do a shit joke about that being a side effect, but it never worked. I always just say that, I said that's why I can't go on holiday to Centre Parks, but no one ever laughed. So instead what I've done is explain the jokes to you, and I'm going to laugh at it. It's weird. There's going to be a lot of editing in this clip, just so you know. But yeah, as I say, with the side effects, it can be kind of hard to tell whether they're helping you, whether they're hindering you, particularly when there's sort of an overlap between the things you're taking, which is the case for me. And particularly when you consider some of these side effects on the medication. And one of the most common side effects you have on any antidepressants is they may make you more depressed. Exactly. That's what you want to read when you're in the middle of a crisis moment. So I'm already feeling pretty shit. Let's see what else we can trowel on here, just to see. Also, conversely, I started taking tablets for anxiety recently. One of the side effects said it may make me, and I quote, too happy. That's pretty subjective. Has this been written specifically? specifically for me? Will they be like, follow me around for a week, look to my CV and my life and go, look, David, I'll be honest with you, these are going to make you too happy. You've got to set a reasonable level, really. You know, it's a strange thing. But I also suggest that somebody at some point complained about this. Somebody went into the doctors, threw the tablets down, went, right, I came in here, you diagnosed me with severe chronic depression, you prescribed me with these, and now I'm too happy. Don't be confused by my tone, I'm fucking ecstatic. I'm whistling as I walk down the street, I'm laughing at Mrs. Brown's boys, I'm beginning to see the problem. And now it's time to turn to hymn number 222. Now what's going to happen in this show is I'm going to sing a couple of songs I've written in my life to sort of chart my story, so you get to hear a bit more about me. This first song, this first song I wrote when I was about 16. It's called Shit Happens, because I was a very sweary child. This song is in a waltz timing, so if you do feel the need to dance, please don't, because it's awkward. It's just very, very awkward. You know, your white middle classes struggle to even clap on the offbeat, let's be honest. So, this is called Shit Happens, here we go. Well, I'm sitting here awaiting your call. Or will you ever call it all? I'm wasting my time trying to make sense of it all. Or will you ever call? When you told me last night, you told me you'd ring me today. You said it'll turn out alright. If it don't, well, okay, 'cause shit happens every day. Well, it may sound funny, but I never wanted to be anything you see. But you came along, you turned on something in me, and now I always want to be right by your side. I dream that you're heading my way, I dream it'll turn out alright. If it don't, well, okay, 'cause shit happens every day. Hey, it'll happen anyway. My next song was called Cunt. Very sweary child. What's the point in trying? Always striving for positivity when it's always backfiring on me, on me. Well, I'm sitting here awaiting your call. Or will you ever call it all? I'm wasting my time trying to make sense of it all. Or will you ever call? Well, you told me last night, you told me you'd ring me today. You said it'll turn out alright. If it don't, well, okay, 'cause shit happens every day. It'll happen anyway. Shit happens every day. Thank you very much. I was always tempted to end that song with shit happens every day. I think that I might be gay, but it confused the message. Now, as I say, I'm receiving treatment for the various ailments that I have, and this includes once a week for the last 3 or 4 years, I've had an appointment at the mental health unit in Stevenage. Now, there's a bleak address. Mental health unit, Stevenage, twinned. Synonym, I don't know. Now, they do try to cheer things up. If you've ever been lucky enough to go in a mental health unit, I hope not. They are quite bleak places, as I said, they do try to cheer it up. Last Christmas, I had a lovely big Christmas tree in there, life-size, surrounded by life-size because it was there. That's right. And this tree was surrounded by presents, and I was looking at them as I waited for my appointment. I went, they're all exactly the same size. What they've done is they've wrapped up reams of A4 paper. Thought we'd be too depressed to notice, or that we just needed a fuckload of paper. I very nearly said potatoes then, that's It's my Irish heritage, clearly. Now, they also put the radio on in there to try and cheer things up, but that radio is permanently tuned on Smooth FM. Because believe me, there is nothing more likely to compound a mental health situation and trigger some sort of psychotic episode than the voice of Kate Garraway. A woman so bad, even her own name is trying to distance itself from her. Kate Garraway! It's like Mick Jagger recovering from dental work. Oh, right. It's like that sort of thing. Now, I think they should fit a panic button in the mental health unit. Not in case anyone kicks off, but so they can mute that radio at the precise moment that something comes on that's inappropriate. Some of the songs I've genuinely heard while waiting to be seen in the mental health unit include All By Myself. I Can't Live If Living Is Without You, that was nice. The Show Must Go On. Freak Out, I like one, Freak Out. And probably my personal favourite for a place where you could be sectioned and detained under the 1983 Mental Health Act, Hotel California. A song about a building you may never leave. And now, because I'm a trained actor, unaccredited drama school, so it counts for nothing. I'm going to show you a little play that I've prepared, which is essentially, this is a day in the life waiting to be seen in the mental health unit in Stevenage. Here we go. It's kind of like that, really. Proof that people will clap absolutely anything. Now, and then we lose page 1 of 287. So there we go. Now, it's very important when you're in a sort of situation like me, when you suffer from things like depression and that, to give yourself a sort of target, a sort of like New Year's resolutions to keep you going. I've got a New Year's resolution this year. This year, I plan to commit a crime so terrible that my house will one day be referred to as the old Ephgrave Place. You've got to have a dream, really, haven't you, I tell you. I want teenagers to dare each other to touch my front door. I'll just let that one sink in, really. I want to devalue the properties either side, raze them to the ground. I want whole swathes of websites on the internet devoted to the ins and outs of the horrors that went on in my eponymously monikered dwelling. I've decided this is the best route to take at this stage of my life, because now I'm 16 years out of drama school, I'm beginning to stretch the definition of up and coming to the limit. But I tell you, there's a fine line to creating a backstory akin to sort of Halloween's Michael Myers, while sustaining your employability. And I've yet to do the mechanics of this. I mean, do I commit a crime bad enough to result in a brief prison sentence, then resume my career afterwards? Or do I do just enough to sort of lift my sort of infamy without being put away for it? I'm really not sure. Because, I mean, for example, Stephen Fry, he did 3 months stir for credit card fraud. Stir being the modern parlance there. I am down with the kids of Ronnie Barker, clearly. And now he's one of the most respected people in the media industry. And also, Paul McCartney, he did 10 days for attempting to smuggle weed into Japan. He was knighted. Not for that specifically, I think it's personal. I don't think anyone's suggesting that Macca is the Queen's drug pusher. Although, to be fair, if she were stoned out of her head, might explain why she knighted Ringo. I'm not sure. Does that make him Sir Topham Hatt? Niche references, it's all I got, really, let's be honest. And also, actually, if I'm looking for this thing, the old Ephgrave Place thing, if you bear in mind, like Paul McCartney's got his weed convictions, and his childhood home, that's now a National Trust house. Admittedly, James Corden may visit, fucking take his shirt off and point a lot, because that's essentially the sum total of his CV. I'm sensing this is the James Corden fan club. Good to have. But yeah, and as I say, Paul McCartney's home is a National Trust house. Now, speaking of Halloween and Michael Myers, people fans of that film, people seen Halloween? Anyone? No? You have? Okay, this is for you, madam. Now, a bit of trivia I discovered recently. I wonder if you know what his mask, Michael Myers' mask, started life as. Does anyone know? Shall I tell you? That is genuinely a souped-up mask of William Shatner. Genuinely true, which you can turn into a murderer in just 3 easy stages. Beautiful. What I like is he went to see the film and had no idea it was his own face, which I find quite amusing. But this brings a whole new level to proceedings. I mean, not only could this guy slash you to shreds, he could start singing at any moment. He could get progressively fatter and his hair go curly for some unfathomable reason. I don't know. And I sort of find it funny that, you know, Michael Myers' disguise started life based on Captain Kirk, because when William Shatner was the guest murderer on Columbo, the disguise he chose to wear for this was so poor, he may as well have worn a mask of his own face too.
What's from alive?
Tell me.
You enter. No noise.
Who can it be? I tell you, if I was lost in the middle of the Gobi Desert and he accosted me in that outfit, I would know that was Bill Shatner in an instant. Even without any prior knowledge he'd been in the vicinity. The only other person to leave that many pauses in their dialogue is Harold Pinter. One for the English A-level students there, not to laugh at, just to go, yeah. That's true. Also, is it me, or does his balaclava look like alarmingly homemade? Does he have a caveat in his contract? Mr. Shatner will only wear balaclavas made by his own nan. But please make sure there is a nose plate. That's like a last-minute addition there. It's clearly Bill Shatner's drink-addled nose, tiny hole for the sort of Donald Trump-sized mouth there. I don't know. Now, if you're a fan of Michael Myers and Halloween, you can buy yourself a bargain mask there, a little tribute mask. Amuse your neighbours. This is available online at the bargain price of $49.99, and that's with the mask included. What the fuck are you doing? What the fuck? Anyway, now it's time for song number 2. Now this song I wrote when I was about 19. It's easily the most depressing song in the show, but there's a narrative arc, so as long as you don't leave now, we'll be all right. And also, you could indulge me in a little sort of fantasy here. Have we got people remember Stars in Their Eyes? Are you familiar with this? As hosted by Leslie Crowther, Matthew Kelly, or Cat Deeley, depending on your own personal era. Let's just out of interest. Who liked Cat Deeley? Yeah. Not many. Leslie Crowther. Yeah. Matthew Kelly. Yeah. Like a very weird auction. Don't really know what's happening. What I'd like to do, just have a drink first, because I'm allowed to. Say what you like about me. Well hydrated. What I like to do, I don't know if you remember, they used to sort of clap at the end of a song, when the first line of the song was sung to sort of suggest that they recognise it. Could you do that for me, please? Not sure, are you? Really? Well, okay. They're sure. Tonight, Matthew, I'm going to be me. I'm not quite sure that you were applauding him for leaving his phone on. That's enabling. That's not a good thing. Would be the youngest person in the room, wouldn't it? Let's be honest. Because none of us have anyone to phone us because all our friends are here. Here we go. I spend my days just wasting time. I forgot. Look out the window just to ease my mind. And in a way I feel I don't belong. I'm smoking and I'm wondering how things went wrong. Yeah, ooh, yeah. I've always been the one for honesty. My best to please all of me, but now I feel I might be losing touch. I'm only 19, why must I worry so much? These demons, I don't need them at all. They're pushing, please cushion my fall. So won't you please help me now? I'm sinking, won't you bring me round? For each step forward I take 10 in reverse. The smile I'm wearing doesn't reach my eyes, but if I avert them you won't realize. These females don't need them at all. They're pushing, please cushion my fall. So won't you please help me now? I'm sinking, won't you bring me round? Please ease my mind, it's breaking now, and my world is falling down. World is falling down. It's falling down. It's falling down. Thank you very much. Now, it's fair to say, I took this show to the Edinburgh Fringe. It's my 7th time up there, but my 3rd time on my own. It's fair to say that when you take a show to the Fringe, you can't help but kind of Google your own name with your sort of heart in your mouth. You really don't know what they're going to say. So it's with some joy that I recently discovered that Phil Collins, Adolf Hitler, and a beardless Noel Edmonds are currently amongst the top 13 searches if you look me up on Google Images. Living the dream, I tell you. It's a wonderful thing, isn't it? And I've genuinely... Oh, yeah, no, actually, to be fair, this completely blew out of the water the time when the most popular Google search related to me was David Ephgrave gay. By a long chalk. I can now rest secure in the knowledge that my online presence rubs shoulders with the trio of evil that is the shout-singing, gate-snared-loving drummer from the film Buster, one of the most reviled figures of recent history, and Adolf Hitler. That joke, technically karaoke, just so you know. Who cares if I'm never employable again? I love it. Now, I've done a bit of research into this. I do actually know why this is. The picture of Phil Collins and Noel Edmonds, they come about as a result of being featured on my daily blog, mostly davidfgrave.blogspot.com. Whereas the picture of Hitler, which is actually the actor Bruno Gantz appropriately in the film Downfall, this came about as a result of a Twitter comparison I did whilst watching Strictly between the Führer and Tim Monacott. Incidentally, look at one like. Oh, come on, that's the best graphic in the whole show. That deserves a mention on the poster. PowerPoint, excellent. Speaking of Tim Monacott, people familiar with this guy?
Yeah.
So I accidentally caught an episode of the Antiques Map of Great Britain the other day. So if he said off one more time instead of off, he'd recently be tracking him down, garrotting him with those glasses chains. I tell you. Tim Monacott. There it is. I won't say bargain cunt, because that's just too far. No, apparently not. Yeah. Speaking of David Ephgrave, we should address this. It was genuinely the most popular Google search related to me for quite a while. So it begs the question, how many people are searching that for it to become a standard? Or is it just my own wife double-checking? I don't know. Never be sure with these performers. Or maybe it's actively a suggestion. I don't know, it's like, go on David, you've done the research, try being gay, go on. It's better than MySpace, I tell you. But also, that's my favourite line, never gets a laugh, fucking bastards is what I say. I don't know why I'm blaming you came here, you paid for it, it's my own fault for not making it funnier. That's okay. Also, anyone who suggests that my career may be faltering should take a look at last year's Brighton Fringe brochure, where my show was listed right next to Dave Benson Phillips.
Ooh.
Okay, well, it's clearly not as impressive for you. It's for me, that's fine. I just realised I didn't check what time I started this show, so we could be doing this forever. That's what might happen. You don't genuinely have to check the watch and tell me. Should we... Although it's worth mentioning at this point, my mum, featured in one of my other shows quite a lot. I was in a show called The Roy Orbison Story in 2002, playing Paul McCartney in the show. My mum came to see it in Wimbledon, and we were doing the encore, and because she was worried about the train, she was sat at the front, pointing at her watch, looking at me, in a fucking... So, I'm sorry, Mum, I'll put the guitar down and leave. Unbelievable. So what you've done there is... I'll be talking about that in therapy tomorrow. Now, I'm going to talk to you about reviews now, staying on the sort of subject of Googling yourself, which sounds like a terrible euphemism, a terrible cheap euphemism. Now, a bit of a backstory for this. As I say, I write a daily blog, mostly davidephgrave.blogspot.com. I've been doing that for about 5 years. I started that mainly as a way of sort of combating the depression, because what better thing is there for a person who suffers from depression and anxiety than an extra daily deadline? They love that, I tell you. I also started it on the advice of the comedian Richard Herring. I don't know if you're familiar with Richard Herring. We run our comedy club, mostly comedy here. Myself and Glyn, my double act partner, we interviewed him for the podcast that we do. And during that interview, I said to him, well, what would you suggest is the best way to sort of write material? And he said what he does this daily blog, which he's been doing for about 10 or 11 years. And, you know, it sort of forces you to get better, more at the sort of apex of your writing achievement within just doing it every day. And then eventually what you can do, you can sort of search a topic and then put together a show. So I thought, I'll have some of that. Now, the first year I genuinely did a post every day of the year. But now I sort of do it most days because it's not an endurance thing. I can just do what I want, really. About 3 or 4 years into this, I thought, okay, I'll put my money where my mouth is. Not literally, got a wallet. Unhygienic, you know, half it's got cocaine on it, so you don't. I'm talking about my wallet now. Anyway, so I thought I'll put my money where my mouth is. I'll book myself a solo show. For 10 years I've been working with Glyn, doing comedy with him, but I'd never really done it on my own. So I booked 4 nights on the Brighton Fringe, a Friday, Saturday, Sunday and a Tuesday, and I set to work and put together this show. Now the first show, as you can imagine, pretty terrifying. I'd never done it before on my own, so it was a bit of a challenge. But there was genuinely a sense of excitement, because having spent a couple of years generally in a coffee shop, feeling quite depressed, writing, trying to get myself out of this thing, I finally had something with substance that I could show people, and it was exciting, and people seemed to like it. The third show was on a Sunday lunchtime, because believe me, there's nothing to compete with in a pub when doing comedy on Sunday lunchtime. Just do it then. No one's having a roast or anything, it's fine. Fucking idiot. Now, so it was Sunday lunchtime, there were 6 people in the audience, one of whom was an agent, and another was a member of the comedy press. Boom, 3 gigs in. Now, as you can imagine, if you imagine essentially those 3 empty seats there, imagine them full. That was pretty much my audience. Just to clarify. So, you know, I don't need sympathy. It's fine. I wouldn't tell you about it if it's okay. It just makes me feel like I'm a small child, and it's just a bit. If you could do that, and then follow it with one of them. Nice. So as I say, back to the story. So there's the agent, there's a member of the comedy press. I did the show. It was as you'd expect with 6 people in. It was kind of, you know, it was a bit stilted, but it was okay. It was fine. The following day, I had my day off, and I had my therapy appointment. So I went to that, and when I was there, I was telling him about it and saying how excited I was. A bit like this show when you came in. You know, my artwork was on the screen and stuff, and you go, oh, I'm really doing this thing. So yeah, it was a positive thing. I left that appointment, and I checked my phone to see a Google notification to tell me that my review had come in. And this review completely and utterly tore me to shreds. It was deeply sort of personal. And one of the hardest things, worst things about it, was it listed all of my stories one after the other, sort of taking away the element of surprise. And that is essentially, that's a joke. That's what you have. And when you go, okay, this website has a far greater reach than I'll ever have, and there he is doing my jokes for me. He also suggested that I should change my show's title to 45 Minutes of Myrrh. I was quite disappointed with this though, because the running time actually came in at 52. So, you do. And probably the most sort of damaging statement he said was, there's not much here that's funny, interesting, or passionate enough to be worthy of your time. Now, that for me, I'm sorry, but that crosses a line. I think there's, you know, you can be constructive, it doesn't have to be the best show ever, it doesn't have to be the funniest show, but to suggest that the thing that someone has worked on is not worth your time. This show doesn't have to be the funniest show ever. All we have to do is for an hour we connect, we have a conversation, we enjoy it, we go away. That's all it's about. It's not, you know, this is just... And also I remember actually when I was in Edinburgh this year, somebody said the only person who really reads your reviews is you. So clearly, that's aimed right for me to see. He knows I'm going to see it. It's unbelievable. One of the things that confused me most about the review is at one point, for absolutely no reason, couldn't quite work out why, it features the word donut. Not sure. Doesn't relate to the word before or after it. It also talks about when I was in a rock and roll show, he said it was a tribute band, but no, he said it was a tribute band. So you didn't fucking spell check it. If you're going to insult me, do your fucking research and check. Criticising my writing. Now, as I say, to be fair, this genuinely did completely floor me for a couple of months. I had dates booked in Camden, I didn't want to do them anymore. He basically sort of voiced all of my own personal doubts about what I do, just aimed for me. Spin forward 4 years, this is my 4th ever solo show I've done. I've taken 3 to Edinburgh in consecutive years. Last year, my one got the Daily Telegraph mention and stuff, so that was a really positive thing to happen. That same show I did at Leicester Square Theatre at the end of last year, and again, the same reviewer came to see the show, and yet again, he completely slated me. But to be fair, I didn't invite him for his review. I invited him for my own sake of self-preservation, to say, this guy very nearly stopped me what I'm doing, and here I am 4 years later, still fucking doing it. Obviously, as an aside, I'd never be as unprofessional as to tell you what his name was.
Steve Bennett.
I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't. What an arse, I tell you, really. He's not seen the show yet. But he's just fuck off, you fucking bastard. Is the less well-written response. Now I'm going to sing you a song. You can stay there, love. Get out of it, for God's sake. I'm going to sing you a song that I'd like to dedicate to the bullies of the internet, of which there are many. Actually, one other thing you do for me. I've always sort of found it a bit sort of weird that, you know, we applaud when we see something we enjoy, just banging bits of your body together. It's weird. So for this one, if you like it, could you just say thanks, Dave? Who is it this time? Seriously.
I turned it down as well.
So you turned it down, but you didn't it down. So you sort of wanted it to still be sort of just there underneath as an undercurrent. Make you feel a bit paranoid. Turn it off, for goodness sake. Feel me the fuck. Oh, it's not Steve Bennett, is it? Anyway, so let's dedicate this song to bullies of the internet. If you like it, thanks, Dave. That'll do. So here we go. There's something on my mind, he's playing all the time. Think I should be doing something positive today. Well, I'm feeling bored, not looking forward to another day of wishing countless hours away. You call me and you say you're doing fine. Seems you got over me in Quicktime. Well, you think that you know me, yet you wanna stone me. You said that you are my friend. Well, I tell ya that had to end. You think that you're much better since we've not been together. But each time you open a new door, well, I tell ya I've been there before. Woo, whoa, woo, whoa. Well, things were looking up, now they're looking down. Since watching Trisha is the highlight of my day. Well, I tried denying, but you're conniving. Means that I mustn't trust a single thing you say. You call me and you said you're doing fine. Seems you got over me in Quicktime. Well, you think that you know me, yet you wanna stone me. You said that you were my friend. Well, I tell ya that had to end. You think that you're much better since we've not been together. But each time you open a new door, well, I tell ya I've been there before. You think that I don't know the things you put me through, but I got wise to your surprise. Now I don't trust you. Woo, whoa, woo, whoa, woo, whoa, whoa. Yeah, I've been there before. Woo, whoa, woo, whoa, woo, whoa. Very welcome, you're very, very welcome. Okay, so when you... Oh, this is ridiculous now, come on. I'm not Indiana Jones, there's one thing for sure. Now, when you are like me, like Glenn, you know, sort of multitaskers, actors, musician, comedian, blogger, poor man. It's good to have some sort of something to fall back on, sort of nest egg. I have this. The other day I started up the other year I started up a savings account with that lovely bank HSBC. Lovely bank, supportive bank. No. This was a particularly good year for me. I started on the 9th of October 2013 with just 72p in my account. Spin forward 12 months, that has skyrocketed to a massive 72. I've not even passed the decimal point yet. This is my pension, ladies and gentlemen. I'm fucked, let's be honest, I'm fucked. What am I going to do with that, Christ? Well, I don't know, maybe I'm being pessimistic. There's a lot you can do with 72p. For example, you can buy yourself 4 tins of Tesco Everyday Value New Potatoes, still have 12p to spare. 3 tins of Tesco everyday value spaghetti bolognese bring about the same result. If I could just get somebody to make a down payment of 3p, I could buy myself a loaf of bread. So they have on average 25 slices. You pop that in the freezer, defrost it a piece a day. I could eat that out for 3.5 weeks, I tell you. We're not addressing the elephant in the room here though, it's who the fuck buys potatoes in a tin? How small are the potatoes? How big is the tin? The fucking paint pot you carry? Ridiculous, I tell you. Also, actually, speaking of the bread thing, the other day I bought myself a loaf of bread from my local BP garage. There's my Michael Parkinson story right there. And the resulting receipt for this single transaction, the resulting receipt for this single transaction was so big, I thought they might have to change the reel halfway through. Thank God it wasn't a weekly shop. That coin says a 50p, it's bigger than the fucking bread. That size is ridiculous. No, look at the fucking one transaction. Look at this. That's not Photoshop. Look how much bigger than the bread. Somebody's writing down the script of this show. That's a very difficult bit to write down. Now, speaking about my retirement fund here that we've got, one thing this doesn't take into account is inflation. According to a calculated online survey, the calculated life expectancy of somebody born the same year as me with my lifestyle is 83 years. By the time I retire, if I ever do, prices will have shot up, and also my account, it doesn't offer any level of interest. You know, I'm going to get out what I put in. It's time to start investing some serious bunts and quickly to strip up all these carpet squares and sell them in the now empty carpet rights. That's a bit that's going to be very confusing in the video, really. We're going to have a cutaway to the carpet squares and a DVD extra where we see carpet rights. As an aside, who tweets their life expectancy? I'm going to die before I'm 84. Tweet, like, what the fuck is it? What? Bizarre. Anyway, and also, I mean, do you even count this as work? I don't even know if this really counts as work. Facebook seems to not think so. Everyone's a critic, aren't they? Christ. Now, little tip though, if you ever have a bit of time on your hands, never ever take your calculated life expectancy and subtract your actual age from it, because the results, they're very depressing. I'm fucked, let's be honest. I'm fucked. Alexander Armstrong likes to take the air. Alexander Armstrong likes to take the air. Alexander Armstrong likes to take the air. He likes to take the air with his head.
Join us next time when we'll be putting more obscure knowledge to the test on Pointless. Meanwhile, it's goodbye from Richard. Goodbye. And it's goodbye from me. Goodbye. Meanwhile, it's goodbye from Richard. Goodbye. And it's goodbye from me. Goodbye. And it's goodbye from me.
And
goodbye.
tick.
It's goodbye from me.
And
goodbye.
tick.
Goodbye from me.
And
goodbye.
tick.
And it's goodbye from me.
And tick.
Alexander Armstrong likes to take the air. He likes to take the air with his head.
That took 3 hours to edit. Thank God my wife's got a salary, I tell you. Fucking hell. To make it worse, my eyes they're stinging now, and it's because I'm sweating and wearing hairspray. And what I'm doing now, I seem to be caressing some of it into my left eye. Very strange. Now, I'm going to talk to you about my family now. I recently discovered that apathy and laziness runs in my family. And my dad told me recently that he'd found a suspicious lump. Fully aware that's a strange thing to bring up in a comedy gig, but we're going to plough that furrow. Now, thankfully this lump turned out to just be a hernia, so it's absolutely nothing to worry about. But when I asked him when he first noticed this lump, he said he first spotted it when he was closing the garage door of our house in Wellington Road in Stevenage. A house we moved out of in 1983. Exactly. Suddenly my laziness with my savings account didn't seem so bad. Put this into some level of perspective. He had this hernia for 30 years. This was a Thatcherite hernia. It was there at the fall of the Berlin Wall, for Christ's sake. Not literally, they're quite benign politically. This hernia lived through 8 Olympics, 8 World Cups and 5 Prime Ministers. There are people in this country younger than my dad's hernia that have the right to vote. To make it worse, 52% of them voted for fucking Brexit. The only people who would vote for that are benign lumps of age 73 and over. I'm sorry if you did. Actually, I'm not sorry for voting for Brexit. Have you seen the fucking state things in? Literally, if I just hear any of the politicians' names and breakfast news in the morning, I just go, oh, Michael Gove, oh, Boris Johnson, I bet the fucking twat of a man. Terrible, terrible, terrible man. It's like it was designed and created by Jim Henson's Creature Workshop. It's just a fucking idiot. It's terrible, terrible. Anyway, one time I was doing the rant in Edinburgh, accidentally said that 52% of people voted for breakfast, which I think is much nicer. We go for that with breakfast, lovely. Now, So eventually we convinced my dad to go and see the doctor. I was sat in with the appointment for him because you fucking have to take him there and make him say things. And when the doctor asked him the length of time he'd had this lump, my dad said, not long. 30 years. 30. They could have just invited me over and gone, how old are you, David? I'm 37. You've had it that long, Barry. His name and he's there in the story. Now, my dad has recently had some other health problems, including about 3 or 4 months ago, he had emergency brain surgery. Genuinely true. They couldn't find it. I think probably because it's in the stomach region, really, isn't it? He genuinely did that. This happened though. We hadn't heard from him for a few days. We went to the house. We couldn't get the door open. We got the police to knock the door down. He was in there. We thought he'd had a stroke. Then, as the day sort of progressed, they went from saying, you know, he's okay, to literally saying he wouldn't make it through the day. So that was a hell of a day to experience. But then, towards the very end of the day, they gave him purely as palliative care because he had bleeding all in his brain. It was just, we don't even know, he was on warfarin, so we don't know exactly what it was that caused it. But they gave him this drug, which costs a fortune. So if you're in America and you don't have the NHS, they probably would never have given him this drug. And within about half an hour, they said he was going to die. He woke up. He asked for some of my ginger biscuit, which was like, I wasn't going to give it to him because it's ginger nut. But there you go, so that's my dad's sort of story there. I recently went over to visit him, see how he was doing. And he lives in a village the other side of Nebworth from me. And we all know where I live, obviously. And I don't drive, so it took me, I got a train journey, bus, and then a walk there. When I eventually arrived, he was standing at the far end of the street, chatting to one of his friends, looking very well. It was good to see. And as he caught my eye from a distance, he shouted a greeting. Do you want to know what he said as he saw me? Not hi Dave, or how you doing, good to see you. No, it was, you've put on weight. Not even hello. Bear in mind, it took 2 forms of public transport to arrive at that insult. Thank you. And who cares? You know, it's something that general etiquette would dictate you don't point out, least of all across the street while standing with someone I've never met before. With my dad, I tell you, he hits straight for the nub of the matter. You do not pass go, do not collect £200. Insult, bam, gone. I've decided the best route to take with this is to see if he takes what he can give. Next time I see him, I'll be like, God, Dad, you're looking really old, aren't you? God. Sand's really slipping down the hourglass for you, isn't it? Burial or cremation? What would you do? Too far? I don't know. When I told my mum about this, she was quite blasé about it. She said, well, you know what your dad's like. I was like, well, yeah, I know I do. And he said, well, anyway, you probably only said it because you're normally so slim. You just said the same thing. You just repurposed the same insult. That makes it quite sure. This is to do with the medication I'm on. So, admittedly, some biscuits were involved too. Let's be honest. But yeah, so that was the situation with that. I shouldn't really be surprised by this stuff though, because my dad has a lot of form. My favourite example of unfiltered Barry Ephgrave. This happened when we were on a walking holiday. I went with some work colleagues to the Lake District. I was about 14. One day we stopped at the fish and chip shop. I had myself a portion of chips, took a bottle of ketchup, gave it a shake. Nothing happened. Gave it another shake. Another Michael Parkinson story here. Final shake, just covered all in the plate, but loads of ketchup there. I looked at the counter and said to my dad, I'm just going to pop over there, get some cutlery. He looked me in the eye and went, can't even wipe your own arse. I was like, what, you heard? Yeah, that is now a running joke amongst my friendship group. You'd be walking past, someone would go, you can't even wipe your own arse. What, you heard? Let's face the facts here. If I genuinely couldn't wipe my own arse, he'd be 50% of the reason why I couldn't do it. He has half the culpability for this. And also, if he genuinely thought I couldn't wipe my own arse, what he should have done is buy me a multi-pack of Andrex toilet tissue. Why? Because it currently comes with a 5-stage instruction manual telling you how to wipe your arse on the back. Is this truly what we've come to? Of 3.5 billion years of evolution, 200,000 years of human existence amount to this? I mean, surely by the time you read that, you're already armed with that information. Your average child can wipe their own bottom unaided at 4, decipher simple sentences at 6. By the time you have a suitable age and intelligence to decipher the Andrex registered trademark clean routine, copyrighted, this has been rendered obsolete. Basically, I was quite relieved there's nothing on there I don't do. Oh, you don't wipe it on the wall. Oh, I didn't realise. My favourite stage, I'll show you here, stage 2, wipe from front to back until clean. And I thought you did it till you were bored of it. There we go. Stage 4 comes with a handy arrow. She tells you which direction your arse is. What the Now, I don't know why my mum sort of sided with my dad on this, because obviously she's had more experience with this than I've ever had. When she was pregnant with me, she suffered quite badly from morning sickness. By the way, she told me never to sell her story in public, but fuck it, it's gone in. Because she pointed at the watch. This is what she gets. Now, to say she was suffering from morning sickness quite badly. One day she said to my dad, would you just mind popping out and getting me some sort of polar mints, because I'm just feeling really nauseous. My dad was like, nope. Please, just anything. Eventually my dad did go out. And what did he come back with to ease my mum's nausea? A mint aero. Because he's not of this world. I mean, to be honest, if I was going to buy like a mint-based chocolate thing, I would have gone for the After 8 mints. Why? Because I like how they come housed in a tiny filing cabinet. Like a massive secretary across, I don't know. And this is from the guy, when he was in hospital recently, he got angry, genuinely, when they brought out food for the rest of the ward because he was feeling sick. It's not the fucking Barry Ephgrave Hospital, lad. Nice sort of, but as I say, my mum should have expected this sort of thing because my dad proposed to my mum in 1968 in a pub. And my mum said yes, and after she said yes, the barmaid came over to clear the table, went away, and as she walked away, my dad said, God, I bet she smells when she farts. My mum should have just vaulted over the table, just pulling down. Unbelievable. Now, I'm going to tell you 2 more stories, and then I'm going to let you go. We're going to release you out into the world again. Now, I've got a bit of questions to run past you now. I'd like you to tell me which one of these you think is the best rock face. So which one is the best rock face? Is it this? Is it this? Or is it this? Let's be honest. Which one is it? David Ephgrave, bless him. Isn't it? See, I think it's this one. Let's be honest, isn't it? See, I'm of the opinion that no child should ever look that passionate when they're holding a guitar. Least of all, when that child, that's me. And particularly when I'm sat on a dining room chair in my junior school uniform, clutching an instrument bought from Argos. There's nothing cool about this photo. If anything, it's anti-cool. There's even a 12-inch copy of Chesney Hawkes, the one and only, just lurking like some sort of war crime. Also, I'm not even playing the guitar. My fingers, they're just resting on the strings. There is nothing happening in that photo to justify the expression. But it may not even be a rock face. I may have just shat myself. And as you've learned, I can't deal with it because I can't wipe my own arse. So there we go. Now, the guitar that I'm playing here, or should we say holding, this belonged to my dad. And very early on into my life, he tried to impinge on my musical taste. I must have been about this age when he offered to buy me an album as a treat. I don't know what I did to deserve this present, although I do remember being given the Paul Daniels Magic Set as compensation when my pet rabbit died, so that was nice. Not meat trick, just to clarify. So maybe the circumstances were similar. As an aside, there's a photo of me with Paul Daniels. Not going to explain it. Whole back story, you're not going to know. Happened in the room next door to there, but we're not going to explain. Just have to look it up. And don't, when you look it up, type David Ephgrave gay, because there's enough. So we were walking through Stevenage Town Centre when this offer came up. My dad said to me I could have an album by any artist I wanted. Anyone, I said. Anyone, he said. I was small. I searched my mind and a band came to the forefront instantly, just straight away. Now, for the last few months I've been obsessed with the back catalogue of 4 iconic musicians from Liverpool, who in the space of just 7 years, none of them reaching 30 by the time they split up, went from the twee Merseybeat pop, the Please Please Me, to the psychedelic soundscapes of Revolver, to Abbey Road and beyond. I knew what I wanted. I turned to my dad and said, Dad, I think I like the Beatles. No, you don't, Dave, you like the Shadows, he said. And, exactly. And dragged me into Smith's. A moment later, we came out and I was clutching this. I can't even look at it. This is like my Vietnam here. I just can't even do it. Later on that afternoon, I sat between my hi-fi speakers, disappointed. 4 sides of sterile instrumentals they performed in a double cassette. My God, it was shit, I tell you. Calling a 50-track album by any artist their greatest hits. That's a bit of a stretch of the imagination. I reckon the Shadows could whittle it down to about 12 at a push. And 6 of them sound exactly like the other 6. It's a scam. It's a scam. Also, if my dad wanted this album that much, he could have just bought it for himself. He didn't need some sort of bizarre alibi. It's not porn. Unless it's for a very niche fetish for men who dance like this while playing guitar. You don't normally send your younger son in to get porn. I don't know why I'm thought that through. 25 years later, I have to say I still love the Beatles, and the Shadows for the most part leave me cold. To be fair to my dad, he did buy me most of my guitars, including this, most of the equipment here, and a Beatles bass, so we got it in the end. He also bought me a Fender Stratocaster, but a black one, not a red one, because I wasn't falling for that twice. Watching you, Barry Ephgrave. One more story, then we're going to go. You've been very genuinely lovely, this is great. Stephanie told me what to do my next Edinburgh show, cancel it, so that's good. It's a joke, fucking comedian, Christ alive, I think. Now, final story, as I say, this year was the 10th anniversary of me taking my first show to the Fringe, 2008 with Glyn, our first comedy play, The Balloon Debate. When we were there, we were lucky enough to meet the comedy legend Jim Bowen. Is in the middle, there he is. Now, he was lovely. And obviously, very sadly, he passed away recently, which is a real shame. He's a real gentleman. But him dying sort of reminded something that's been on my mind for a while. Now, I regularly watch reruns of Bullseye on the Freeview Channel Challenge because I know how to live. And it'll probably give you a window into my slightly pessimistic mindset if I tell you what enters my mind as I watch it. Now, I don't know if you remember, he used to do like monologues standing amongst the audience at the beginning. Do you remember that? No, just me. Watch it and challenge, it's still there. And that audience, that was absolutely awash with the elderly. And as the camera pans round to all their happy, smiling faces, I think to myself, my God, by now they must be long dead. I'm not convinced some of those people made it out of the studio, let's be honest. I suspect a vast percentage of the Bullseye Studio audience would pass away during the time it takes for the board to revolve. Very much a case of super smashing late. Pick your own punchline, I'll do it next time. And you might think my assumption is pretty presumptuous, but I really don't think it is, because Bullseye originally aired between 1981 and 1995, so that finished 23 years ago. I would argue anyone in that audience who was in the midst of their twilight period, in that 14-year period, they've now long since gone to the great big game show in the sky. They've had their final lovely day, I reckon. Do you remember also you used to count the prize money out across the advert breaks? Something very cash in hand about that program. How much of that money made it to the bank, do you think? Also, how many of those like £20 notes did he just keep Jim Bowen in his pocket? Let's be fair, considering the size of the currency back then, you need pockets the size of an A3 folder. It was bigger than the fucking bread, bigger than the fucking bread. Now, no question, I want to run past you now. This is Jim Bowen presenting, that's the first ever episode of Bullseye in 1981. Anyone want to hazard a guess as to how old he was then? Anyone know?
57.
62.
35.
59.
Bingo. No. Shall I say 44? 44. Thank you very much, good night. Genuinely, 44. But then to some level of perspective, that's less than 7 years older than me. Well, I love Jim Bowen, he's a comedy legend, but I do not want to look that old in 7 years. That'll be a fucking rapid decline, like drinking from the wrong grail at the end of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Look how thick his glasses are, that's a substance thicker than anything known to 44! You know, I've only just got into my mind that Buddy Holly died at 22, the Beatles, none of them were 30 by the time they split up. 44! That was 7 years away, what have I achieved? Fucking hell, 44! God, exactly! Now, what I've done, just as a little treat for you, is I've compiled a list of people in the public eye who are the same age now as Jim Bowen was then. Do you want to see it?
Yeah!
And what I like about it is it's on the world's tiniest ever clipboard. Look at that. It's like a tiny tribute to Dennis Norden. So, should we do this? So you up for seeing this? Here we go. Same age as Bowen. David Tennant, Matt Damon, Ewan McGregor, Gary Barlow, Susanna Reid, Tamsin Outhwaite, Olivia Colman, Robbie Williams, David Walliams, Ethan Hawke, Jamie Theakston, Tess Daly, David Coulthard, Melinda Messenger, Lisa Snowden, Mary J. Blige, Double Time, Collymore, Hill, Alexander, Kilty, Lancaster, Paul, Hannon, Desiree, Orton, Moss, Edwards, Assange, Cameron, Gale, Brown, Amanda Holden. Do you know, I take it back actually. Same age. Unbelievable. Now, we've pretty much reached the end of the show. Now, thank you, genuinely lovely. It's been great to have you here. Thank you for supporting this. It's great to have you here. If you like my stuff, if you don't like my stuff, you can check out my daily blog, mostlydavidefgrave.blogspot.com. That's my post from the other day. You can see what I thought about tonight at some point when I write it. If you like me on Twitter, you can follow me on Twitter at David_Ephgrave. If you don't like me, follow me home, stave my head in. It's fine. Final song I'm going to share with you now. This one is called Peace of Mind, so there's a narrative arc there. Again, I'm going to say you've been genuinely lovely tonight, but to give you an idea again about the nonsense of reviews, I only got one review in Edinburgh, 2 stars, so thank you for making me feel like it's not a waste of time when you have a nice audience. This song, as I say, is called Peace of Mind. Let's lose the thanks Dave now, clap, because otherwise it makes the end very awkward. Here we go, thank you for being lovely. Listen, a big thank you for Glenn Davis. On set we have Glyn Doggett, Paul Williams and Nick Houston, Carrie Lawrence as well. This is Peace of Mind, here we go. Take yourself away from the unnecessary grind of all the things that you've been asked to do, now just unwind. It seems that you've been trying so hard to find some peace of mind. You've been trying so hard to find someone to make your day, but you must learn the more you try, it never comes your way. It seems that you've been trying so hard to find some peace peace of mind. Let it go now, let it go now. Let it go, let it go now, let it go now. 'Cause in a matter of time you'll feel much better. Release your mind, go out and get her. Don't feel regret, don't fret forever, 'cause you'll find some peace of mind if you listen to me. Take a break away from the routine of every day, 'cause in the end you find it doesn't mean much anyway. You know you should be trying so hard to find some peace of mind. Your conscience says to live for now, don't live for yesterday. Wants to watch your heart wants, don't obey convention's way. You know you should be trying so hard to find some peace of mind. Well, let it go now, let it go now. Let it go, let it go now, let it go now. 'Cause in a matter of time you'll feel much better. Release your mind, go out and get her. Don't feel regret, don't fret forever, 'cause you'll find some peace of mind if you listen to me.